Now, the silent film The Artist has starred at the BAFTA Awards in London. It took out the Best Film Prize as well as at least 6 other awards.
For a closer look at the BAFTAs, we're joined from Sydney by Triple J's movie reviewer, Marc Fennell. Good morning, Marc. The Artist, the big winner.
Yes, or as I like to call it, the Artist Awards. The BAFTAs have pretty much been swept by the French film made about the United States. It's actually kind of shocking just how well they've done for a film that actually doesn't involve any words. They've somehow managed to walk away with Best Original Screenplay as well.
Now, that's what I wanted to ask you about. I thought maybe I'd read that and it was a mistake. How do you win Best Original Screenplay for a film that has no dialogue?
By sheer force of buzz. Look, it's probably a bit unfair to say that because, you know, the script is more than just dialogue. It's also about pacing and shape and plot and whatnot, but it was quite a surprising award. What's interesting about this year's BAFTAs is actually that it has a very international flavour to it. You've got a lot of films from all around the world. You've got a film like The Help, which is an American film. Octavia Spencer walked away with an award for that. Even very British films like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is produced by French money. You've got a film like Drive, which stars Ryan Gosling, but it's directed by a Swedish person in the form of Thomas Alfredson and with a British co-star. You've got Shame starring Michael Fassbender, who's Irish, but a film set in New York. So everything about the BAFTAs this year is very international in flavour.
Now, another award that everyone watches closely is the Best Actor and the Best Actress. Who won those?
You've got Jean Dujardin, and I'm apologising to French people everywhere because I'm pretty sure I've mispronounced that. He is from The Artist, and look, it's a stunning performance. Anybody who's seen the film knows that he leaps off the screen. He's got one of those just grins that make you smile just by looking at them. And of course, unsurprisingly, Meryl Streep did walk away with the Best Actress for The Iron Lady. And look, it was a film that was regarded as controversial by a lot of people, a lot of political commentators in the UK, but universally everybody has loved her performance as the Iron Lady.
So does this mean now that The Artist will really firm as the favourite for the Academy Awards?
Look, the moment The Artist walked away with the Directors Guild Award, it was almost a lock for the Oscar. I mean, the thing is, the Directors Guild Award is really the true prognosticator for Oscar success. I think they've only gotten it wrong 6 times in the last, I think, since 1968. The BAFTAs less so. I think in the last 5 years, 3 out of the last 5 years they've managed to predict the Oscar Best Winner, but really we're looking at the year of the Artist across the board here.
And what about Martin Scorsese and his, what I guess you describe as a children's film, Hugo, that's received a huge number of nominations?
It has. Look, to be honest, I think with Hugo, the Martin Scorsese Award is a little bit like it's his time kind of award. I think I'm possibly outside of the mainstream of this. I think Hugo is a really lovely film. I think it's a great film about the beginnings of film. I think it's a great film about magic. I don't know that it's necessarily a great fantasy film as such. And it's very funny, Daniel Radcliffe came out this week with a quote that said something along the lines of, the only way you can get a kids' film nominated for an Oscar is if it's directed by Martin Scorsese, and he might be right. I mean, to be honest, you know, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows was actually quite a really beautifully made film, and certainly no better than Lord of the Rings, the Return of the King, which walked away with a bunch of Oscars when it came out. And I'm quite surprised that films like that weren't nominated for things like the Oscars this year.
Yeah, so tell us about some of the other films that have been snubbed. It almost seems as though that's the list of films to watch.
Oh my God, it's the year, in terms of the Oscars, it's the year of the appalling snub. You've got no nominations, no major nominations for Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which is a phenomenal British film. You've got no nominations really for Drive, which is another phenomenal film. We need to talk about Kevin. There's so many films that featured great performances, great directing, great writing that weren't nominated, and yet somehow the Oscars managed to give it a nomination to War Horse, which is a film, I think I said this last time I was on your show. The whole first hour of that film you can pretty much sum up with a kid looking down the barrel of a camera going, "Oh, please, sir, don't take away my horse, we ploughed a field of turnips together." Seriously, whole first hour of the film, just like that, and yet somehow it walks away with an Oscar nomination.
Now, very quickly, we've heard the news of Whitney Houston's passing. Do you think there'll be some sort of tribute to her at the Academy Awards later in the month?
Almost definitely. I mean, we know that the Grammys have been scrambling to insert her into the telecast, and the Oscars have the benefit of a little bit more time. And she did turn in some wonderful performances in Waiting to Exhale, for example, as a fantastic performance. Look, it's very, very sad. You know, she was an amazing voice, and she had a lot of different skills, and it's very sad to see. It's not just see her die, but it's also to see her career kind of whittle away in the sense that it did. So I would certainly hope that the Oscars would give her a fitting tribute.
So, Marc, your money's on War Horse. Thanks very much for joining us this morning from Sydney.
Damn you, Karina!